Alright, Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the house of David, which are the elect. And salutations to you brothers out there who are giving all diligence to make your call and the election sure. Alright, basically, I just wanted to do this, this video, alright, because I came across this article, alright, on the Rothschilds, alright, basically behind the sinking of the Titanic, because they'll tell you how the Titanic had an iceberg and, it crashed and blah, 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 blah. But what you really find out is that majority of these quote-unquote incidents that happened in history was really caused by them, and they just come up with a cover story, alright, to, for people to believe it, alright, so they can cover up their tracks when really they have alternative motives. Alright, but without further ado, let's get into this article. Lord willing, be edifying unto the elect out there. Okay, so it says, the sinking, this is the Sleuth Journal, by the way. It says, the sinking of the Titanic, another Rothschild, Rockefeller, Morgan conspiracy. It says, Isidor Strauss, co-worker of Macy's department store, Benjamin Guggenheim, an American businessman and successor of gold, silver, and copper mines, John Jacob Astor, American businessman, real estate builder, investor, inventor, writer, lieutenant, colonel in the Spanish-American War, and a member of the prominent Astor family. He was the richest passenger aboard the Titanic. So these were some quote-unquote big men, pretty rich men. It says, and was considered to be the richest person in the world at that time. These three strong men were allegedly thorn in the eye for the U.S. banking cartels because of their opposition to the establishment of the Federal Reserve. So already, right off the bat, they were on the hit list of the Rothschilds, so to speak. Okay, because they were opposed to the Rothschilds' plan, which was basically to establish that Federal Reserve. All right. But because these men had, specifically, I believe it was John Jacob Astor, he was what? He was the richest in the world at the time. So he would have been a problem for them. So what did they do? Let's read on that. It says, what if the sinking of the Titanic in 1912 was yet another event in our history books? Was yet another event in our history books alongside virtually every event other of major significance that was not an accident but was instead intentionally created and orchestrated by the elite. All right, and Salaki, I forgot to mention, I'm trying to basically find out, bring out more and more articles, on the things these devils have done, and Lord willing, I bring it out. If it be a series, if that's what the Spirit wants it to be, that's what it'll be. Okay, but I'm just trying to bring out more information, okay, on these devils, because all these things are really caused by them, and people don't know that, so it's good to bring it out. All right, and I'll try my best to bring out precepts along with it. Some of them I might just read the article, okay, might quote precepts, but just Lord willing to be edifying. So going on, it says, we know that the Rothschilds and other elite New World Order families had their hand in funding, organizing, and carrying out the American, French, and Russian revolutions. Now, what they won't teach you this in the school system. They'll give you a whole nother, this happened, and it says the political assassinations attempted and real of Andrew Jackson, Abraham Lincoln, MLK, and JFK, and the false flag events of the sinking of the Lusitania in 1916, Pearl Harbor, the fake Gulf of Tonkin incident, all of which embroiled the U.S. in wars the public would not otherwise have allowed. Okay, that's what they do, man. They set it up in the darkness, so the public has no choice but to go with what they tell you, It says, was the sinking of the Titanic another Rothschild, Rockefeller, Morgan conspiracy? What follows below is a hypothesis or educated guess about what might have transpired. Read the evidence and decide for yourself. All right, which, yeah, I believe that they did do it. The evidence is, I'll read it. It says the background to the sinking of the Titanic. Before we begin to describe how it happened, you need to know the background to the sinking of the Titanic. In those days of the early 20th century, many passengers on ocean liners were poor immigrants. The ships were frequently overloaded, and there were many over-insured ships, as insurance scams were common. All right, so it was basically like it wasn't a fun, comfortable experience, so to speak. It says wealthy bankers and industrialists J.P. Morgan was in charge of White Star Line, the company that built ocean liner ships such as RMS Titanic and RMS Olympic. Those familiar with conspiracy history may be aware of Morgan's role in the life of Nikola Tesla and how he bankrolled Tesla to develop new forms of energy, but pulled the funding after he discovered that Tesla was thinking about providing free energy to the whole world, unmetered. See, guess what? That's their mindset. Like, yo, hold up. You found out a way to do this. What, you just gonna give it to them for free? Nah, that's not how it works over here. No. We do this to make money. If we can find any way to make money off of them, we gonna do it. You know, forget how they feel, forget what they're going through. It's about us making money. That's the mindset of these devils. Okay? It says the Titanic and the Olympic was sister ships, almost identical in design. The Olympic was the first to set sail of the two, but right from the start was beset with problems. On her maiden voyage, she had a collision in the September of 1911, followed by another accident. She was repaired for 4 days in Belfast for a propeller that could have taken only hours to repair. So, that's suspicious. It says the repairs involved taking a propeller from the Titanic for the Olympic. This fact is suspicious, as you will later see. J.P. Morgan had a big problem. The Olympic was quite probably uninsurable, at least for the amount of money he wanted. Anyone who was anyone was on the Titanic. It says the newspapers of the day owned by Morgan and other rich financiers. Oh, and by the way, I'll do my best to put the link to this article in the description, so brothers could read that, you know, if you want. It says talked up the Titanic and heaped praises upon her, saying she was unrivaled, extent, and magnificent. They managed to attract the top movers and shakers of society and entice them to take the transatlantic journey. Among the passengers were three very wealthy and influential men at the time: Benjamin Guggenheim, John Jacob Astor, and Isidor Straus. Wow, isn't that a surprise? You see, that's what these devils do, man, and the scriptures tell you about it. Okay? It's like, I'm just see if I could get it here. It would be much quicker. Okay, told you about that in the book of Psalms, man. This is Psalms chapter 55, verse 21. Okay, it says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Okay, and that's what he did to bait them. He said what? He said, oh, it's unrivaled, it's magnificent. And at that time, like we read earlier, most of the ships were basically like overloaded and whatnot, you know, and so they basically baited these men onto the ships so they can take them out and they can basically enact their plan. It says all were millionaires and all were opposed to the plan to create a private central bank in the USA because it would negatively affect their personal fortunes. This, of course, was a big problem for the Rothschild, Rockefeller, Morgan cartel. The Rothschilds has risen to power and wealth and had become the masters of Europe by introducing private central government-sanctioned banks in England, France, Germany, Italy, and Austria, and they weren't about to let anybody stand in their way of capturing the grand prize and doing the same in America. Yeah, that's what these devils do. All right, they want what they want, and they'll do anything to get it. Okay. But the Lord allowed that because Job 9:24 says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, man. All right, these devils and they, like if I'm not mistaken, was it Mayor Amschel Bauer said, basically give them the control of. If I'm not mistaken, you can check that. I believe it was he who said it. He said, basically give him control over a country's money, and he cares not who makes the laws because he knows who controls the money runs it. Okay. So it says, the switching of the Olympic and Titanic. It is quite likely at this point that J.P. Morgan hatched a wicked scheme that would kill two birds with one stone. He needed to get the Olympic insured and preferably off his hands to receive the insurance payout. He also needed to eliminate Guggenheim, Astor, and Strauss so that there would be no opposition to his plan to be part of a new central bank in America. So what did he do? He switched the Olympic and Titanic ships. Wow, this devil. It says in the video above, well, there's not a video, but it says John Hammer presents impressive photographic evidence of the switch, including a picture of the Titanic sailing off on its maiden voyage with 16 portholes. The Olympic had 16 portholes, and the Titanic had 14 portholes. Oh, but now all of a sudden the Titanic has 16 portholes. Hammer also presents other evidence such as from the 1986 Titanic wreckage discovery by Robert Ballard, who found a gray underboard. Originally the Olympics was gray and the Titanic was black. He also found a propeller with the number 401, originally from the real Titanic but switched and given to the Olympic during the Belfast repairs. Maybe that's why it took 4 days. It says, just before departure of the Titanic, the Olympics maiden voyage was, actually, you know what, I'm going to just end it here and I'm going to do a part 2 because, you know, once the video basically goes over 15 minutes, I believe it, you know, it makes it hard for you to upload it. So just Salakia. I'll be back.